Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Want to start covering the Steam Autumn Sale because there are some great deals, and today's video we're going to be taking a look at 5 great deals on games released in 2018. Now, there are a couple of other titles that I wanted to recommend, however, I don't think the discounts are deep enough to warrant a mention. Specifically, games like Kingdom Come Deliverance is 40% off for $36, but that game has been cheaper. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is seeing a little bit of a discount, 33% off for $40.19. Not a bad deal on Assassin's Creed Odyssey per se, but I would like to see it a little bit cheaper. You guys know me, I'm a little bit of a penny pincher. So deals like that didn't catch my eye all too bit, and it's kind of funny because I do have some games on this list that are seeing less of a discount. However, I do think higher of those games than some of the other games that are on sale. I'll explain it all, but without further ado, let's get right into it, and we'll start it off with Monster Hunter World, which is 34% off for $39.59. Now, MH World has had a little bit of a mixed reception on PC. In my experience, it has been rather good, and when you assess the game for what it is, this is a game that offers you a lot of content for your money. You're gonna be spending a lot of time with this game, and it's a game you could be busy with for north of 100 hours easy. As far as being a newcomer to Monster Hunter, obviously that is one of the emphasis in Monster Hunter World. It is very good for those of you that have never played a Monster Hunter game. It's a lot more accessible than other MH titles, however, it does still have a little bit of that depth for those of you that have played the game in the past. And on PC, the game looks fantastic. In my experiences, it has ran really well. I did hear some issues back at launch. Just as the kind of game that it is, it's super grindy, but being 34% off, $39.59 is still a little bit steep of a price point considering that the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One version is going for like $20 over the holidays. But the PC version was a more recent release, so I kind of understand why it's holding up in value a little bit more, and I do believe this is one of the better prices on the game that's ever been available. Moving on from that, Divinity Original Sin 2 did release last year, but I'm including it in this list because the Definitive Edition did release this year, and it's 35% off for $29.24. Now, I had heard a lot of great things about Divinity Original Sin 2, but for a long time I didn't play the game, just didn't have the time to really sit down and sink in some time to Original Sin 2, but after starting the game, I can see what all of the hype is about. This is a phenomenal RPG. Just a lot of power is put into the player's hand, and then I have to say, when you actually get into the game, visually, it is a rather good looking game, especially if you're playing at like 4K and you can max it out, which with a 1080 I was able to do rather easily. It's a very stunning game, and of course a highlight has to be the story. I always go into RPGs with the story in mind, and Divinity Original Sin 2 nails it on that mark. And given how the game plays out, there's a lot of reason to replay it multiple times, try out different characters, try out different dialogue options, just a lot of different choices and options to make the game worthwhile at all times. I never played the original version, but the Definitive Edition does add a lot of new content, so that's very nice as well. And now that it's down to $29.24, that's a great price for Original Sin 2. The base price has been lowered to $45, so that's something to note. A 35% off discount isn't something all too steep, but still pretty good given the high quality of the game. Moving on from that, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is 50% off for $29.99. I kinda had to mention this based on the fact that this is such a recent release, and being 50% off, that is pretty ridiculous for a game that is this recent. Now, Shadow of the Tomb Raider has seen a little bit of a mixed reception. I think for the most part it comes from the story, but I'm not really going into a Tomb Raider game to experience a high quality story. I'm going in there for the adventures, the tombs. However, I also do foresee this game getting cheaper. Apparently, it hasn't done all too well from a commercial standpoint. Square Enix really botched the promotion of this game, and they've done a lot of DLC content with it. Hopefully, at some point, there is like a Game of the Year edition release for it. I know it's not even in the front runner for Game of the Year. Let's call it a complete edition. Let's hope for a complete edition at some point, and maybe it'll be a better by then, but still, if you've been itching to play Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 50% off is quite a steep discount, so I would give it a recommendation at that price. Next up is a game that's seeing a very minute discount, but any kind of a discount on a game of this quality is worth it, and that is Dead Cells. It is 20% off for $19.99. Now, I had heard a lot about Dead Cells going into the release, but I never had actually played the game until the whole debacle with IGN and their review happened, and then I was like, man, let me actually go and play Dead Cells, and for a little bit, I didn't really get the hype with the game, but then about an hour in, I really got it, and I was absolutely absorbed into the game because there are so many nuances with the gameplay, and it's a very challenging yet addictive experience. And then you look at the presentation, that instantly should win a lot of people over. I think the presentation in this game is so great. The pixel graphics are done so well, and it's a game that you can spend a lot of time. I know people that have spent over 50 hours in the game. Personally, I haven't spent that much time, but I have played a considerable amount of Dead Cells, and if you're into challenging Metroidvania action game, this is one to absolutely play. It's one of the best of its kind, and I know 20% off isn't a gigantic discount, but this is a game that I can easily recommend at full price, so any kind of discount on it is well worth it. And lastly, you guys know I love JRPGs, and a fantastic deal on a JRPG is Valkyria Chronicles 4. It is 50% off for $29.99, and just like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, this is a game that is a very, very recent release, actually even more recent than Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's not even 2 months old at this point. If you paid a full $59.99 for this game, I could see why you would be a little bit upset given the fact that it's 50% off for $29.99. However, from a quality standpoint, this game is top-notch. If you guys are familiar with me, you know how highly I think of Valkyria Chronicles 1, which, by the way, if you do want a cheaper option, you never played VC, that game is on sale as well. It's 66% off for $6.79, so maybe that's a better option for newcomers, but if you already played that and you've been eyeing Valkyria Chronicles 4, Valkyria Chronicles 4 really just builds upon the first game. It adds a new class, a lot of the same, but that's not a bad thing at all. It has a ton of content with a lot of side missions that really flesh out a lot of the characters. The story is great, and that's really the drawing element of Valkyria Chronicles. Valkyria Chronicles 1 had an awesome story. Valkyria Chronicles 4 follows in suit. It's got that down as well, with a lot of mystery, a lot of likable characters. Still does have a couple of your JRPG tropes that I'm not a big fan of, and winning over Western gamers, I really think that shouldn't be a part of JRPG. However, they are made with a Japanese audience in mind, so I can understand, but to Western gamers that are more familiar with Western style of game development, it is going to put you off a little bit, but still the good in VC4 definitely outweighs the bad, and you've still got that great tactical strategy gameplay, and given the fact that I'm not a big fan of strategy games, this is a game that absolutely won me over with its combat. I think it's great, and 50% off for $30, that is a great buy for one of the best JRPGs of the year. Hard to say the best, because we also had the release of Dragon Quest XI this year. By the way, that's on sale. Not as deep of a discount, it's 30% off for $42, but I thought I would mention that as well as a pretty good Japanese RPG to check out. And that's going to conclude this video, guys. Again, I did want to mention some games that I didn't mention in the past. There are a lot of other deals. Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition is on sale for its typical price of $25. A lot of newer games are on sale. I would say the majority of them are. However, the discounts just aren't as deep as I would like with Kingdom Come Deliverance. That game's 40% off. That game was available in a GOG bundle for their 10th anniversary for like $25. So I was hoping it was going to be considerably cheaper, and I believe KCD on consoles for Black Friday, some retailers have it down to $20. So would like to see it a little bit cheaper. That's the case with AC Odyssey as well, but hey, I can't win all of them. The deals I did mention, however, I think are quite good, so have a look for yourself. Of course, I'll be uploading more videos, taking a look at some cheaper games, but I always like to look at the more recent games and see what discounts are available on that. That's gonna conclude this video. If you guys have a specific video for the future, let me know in the comments section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.